Ay, 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 ay. Hey hackers, ¿qué tal? Me voy a alejar el micrófono porque parece que está un poco alto para mí, pero muchas gracias por haber venido y haberos dado el paseo desde el teatro. Va a haber traducción del español al inglés y del inglés al castellano. Podéis coger los auriculares en la entrada y empezaremos en unos minutos, cuando ya haya llegado todo el mundo desde el teatro, ¿de acuerdo? Ah, no, sí, claro. Lo puedo levantar. Sí. Pues lo ponemos más atrás de las sillas, ¿quieres? Va bien, creo. Bueno, pues volver a daros las gracias por estar aquí, volver a daros la bienvenida a la continuación de Ciudades Democráticas. Espero que hayáis disfrutado de la jornada de ayer y la de hoy. Y ya estamos llegando al final, de estos días hablando de democracia. Tenemos que pensar también, y es muy importante, para qué queremos esa democracia, cuál es la idea que tenemos de transformación social, de transformación de nuestro entorno a través de la democracia. Pero para ello, antes de nada, quiero que estemos un rato conversando con tres ponentes que van a compartir con nosotros sus ideas y que van a tratar de pensar en si se puede hackear la democracia y si eso de verdad pues, puede permitir tener una democracia que haya evolucionado, ¿no? Porque sabemos que hoy en día la democracia está en riesgo, siempre lo está, nunca es suficiente y de hecho las posibilidades que tenemos para utilizar la democracia para transformar nuestras vidas, nuestro cotidiano, nuestros cuerpos, la sociedad en la que vivimos, pueden ser bastantes, pero a veces necesitamos de algunos hackeos, de algunas formas de utilizar grietas del sistema para poder llevar a cabo esa transformación. Primero os daremos paso a los ponentes para que nos hagáis una pequeña introducción sobre cuál es vuestra idea, sobre la posibilidad de hackear la democracia y también nos contéis un poco cuál es vuestra trayectoria y de dónde venís, para luego tener un pequeño debate, se está yendo un poco la voz, y más tarde, después de este debate entre nosotros, abriremos un espacio al público para que podáis, entrando en este sitio, luego lo dejaré más rato, podáis ir introduciendo preguntas que a la vez que se introducen las preguntas pueden ser votadas. Y de la lista de preguntas más votadas, las podéis hacer en castellano o en inglés, también en otros idiomas, pero os arriesgáis a que nadie las lea o traduzca. Después, pues las preguntas más votadas procuraremos que las respondan, si son capaces, nuestros exclusivos ponentes. Y sin más, voy a dar paso a Raimond García, que es uno de los desarrolladores de Cónsul, un tipo genial que viene con una trayectoria del activismo anterior y que nos va a contar un poco qué idea tiene de la posibilidad de hackear la democracia. Os dejo con él.
Muchas gracias, Roxu. Hola. Hola. Muy bien. Muchas gracias, Roxu. Hacking democracy es un concepto maravilloso. Yo esta carrera del activismo creo que la empecé con un documental que me abrió un poco la cortina a todo este mundo detrás de la cortina que realmente maneja muchas cosas, ¿no? Y a partir de ahí ya me enfadé un poquito con el sistema y combinando esa indignación de las cosas malas que hay en el sistema, como la corrupción, la muerte, las guerras, la destrucción del planeta, ¿no? Y entonces empecé a utilizar mis conocimientos de hackear, de que son realmente programar, y este enfado con la sociedad en un montón de movimientos sociales que me iba encontrando por el camino, ¿no? Empezamos con el partido de Internet, con mi amigo Mario hace casi 10 años. Estamos un poquito adelantados a la época seguramente. Era un partido hermano del de Agustín en Argentina, que abogaba solo por la democracia directa, ¿no? Nosotros queríamos que la gente que estaba en el Congreso no tuviera muchas opiniones, no contara mucho su vida ahí, sino que simplemente hiciera lo que la gente hubiera decidido en Internet. Después de unos procesos de deliberación serios, y nuestros representantes en el Congreso solo decían sí o no, dependiendo de lo que la gente había decidido. desarrollamos una aplicación maravillosa de voto seguro y hackeamos la página del Congreso, scrapeando todas sus propuestas y las pusimos en nuestra aplicación. Pues la gente votaba lo que estaban votando los políticos, ¿no? Intentando hackear de alguna manera el sistema. Bueno, no llegamos tampoco muy lejos, estamos adelantados a la época. La gente nos tachaba un poco de frikis, de tíos raros, ¿qué hacéis? Esto no va a ningún lado, ¿no? Dejad esas cosas y haced cosas más interesantes o útiles con vuestra vida, ¿no? Muchos nos deprimimos un poco a partir de aquella situación y por suerte después vino el 15M, ¿no? Y aquello fue otro gran movimiento en España y parte del mundo entero, donde conocimos a gente maravillosa y allí también intentamos de alguna forma hackear el sistema con un consenso de mínimos. En el 15M se decidieron 5 cosas maravillosas que estaba de acuerdo el 100%, pues casi 99,9% de la gente, ¿no? Cosas como la separación de poderes judicial y legislativo, ejecutivo, o que el dinero estuviera al servicio de los ciudadanos y no los ciudadanos al servicio del dinero, ¿no? Entonces nos venimos arriba, cogimos una caja de cartón, hicimos una urna y nos plantamos en la Plaza de Sol, que era nuestro estante, era allí donde estaba la revolución, y montamos una mesa y una votación, un referéndum de estos 5 consensos de mínimos que se había decidido en el 15M, en asambleas muy largas y bonitas. También se votó por Internet, obviamente, con este sistema del partido de Internet, de voto seguro, perfectamente encriptado, y llegó a votar la gente con el DNI electrónico que tenemos en España, que tiene un chip, lo metías en el ordenador y te identificaba como ciudadano y podías votar, ¿no? Creo que votaron 10 personas con este sistema y unas cuantas cientos en la caja de cartón que metimos en Sol, ¿no? Fue una experiencia preciosa para nosotros, pero tampoco tuvo mucha repercusión. Salimos en algún periódico, mira los chavales, qué majos, ¿sabes? Pero ya, ¿no? Y también pensamos que el 15M, bueno, no había servido para mucho, ¿no? Se fue desinflando un poco, pero estábamos equivocados, ¿no? Eso fue, obviamente, una semilla y hoy gran parte del gobierno de Madrid pues estaba en esas plazas durmiendo, haciendo las asambleas y tirando para adelante aquel movimiento, ¿no? Y hoy estamos en el Ayuntamiento de Madrid haciendo cosas muy parecidas, pero de una forma muy diferente, ¿no? Ahora tenemos a nuestra diosa, Manuela Carmena, Pablo Soto, Miguel Arana, y claro, así es mucho más fácil, ¿no? Si Manuela dice, ahora lo que hacemos es hackear el sistema, pero de otra manera, ¿no? Cuando llegamos al ayuntamiento nos dimos cuenta que el sistema está muy bien pensado para que la gente no participe. Tiene un montón de reglas puestas y es ilegal hacer esto y aquello, y aquello, y aquello, y aquello, y aquello, no puedes hacer nada, ¿no? Entonces hay que ser muy creativo y buscar formas de saltarse esas leyes, esos sistemas y de verdad hacerlo. Mucho es la voluntad política, ¿no? No podemos hacer una legislación colaborativa, pero nosotros ponemos ahí la ley, la gente la comenta, añade cosas, quita cosas y después nosotros decidimos que eso se ha de incluir, ¿no? Lo mismo para los presupuestos participativos o los referéndums, que obviamente no hacemos referéndums porque son ilegales en España, pero sí que hacemos una consulta que después lo que diga la gente, pues lo hacemos, porque podemos, ¿no? Porque Manuela dice que la gente ha hecho esto, pues yo lo hago. Es maravilloso. Y todo eso lo hemos hecho posible con, en parte, haciendo uso de código libre, código abierto, ¿no? Estamos pasando de la teoría de una democracia directa, de una democracia participativa, a la práctica. Hemos escrito código para representar esta teoría, muchas teorías de la democracia, ¿no? Estamos viendo las realidades y nos chocamos de frente, ¿no? Nos creemos que iba a ser muy fácil o que iba a ser de una forma. Mira, aquí haces 4 listados y ya está, ¿no? Y después los funcionarios se vuelven locos, en plan, no, mira, me hacen falta 50 funcionalidades para hacer que estos presupuestos participativos funcionen, ¿vale? Si no, me voy a volver loco, ¿no? Entonces, hemos ido desarrollando todas estas funcionalidades maravillosas de forma libre, ¿no? Con un lenguaje de programación que se llama Ruby, que está escrito por un japonés, se llama Matsumoto, con el objetivo de hacer feliz a los programadores, ¿no? Seguramente es el lenguaje más productivo del planeta porque nos hace muy felices. Entonces, cuando tú eres feliz, produces muchísimo más, ¿no? Y encima si tienes este proyectazo delante de ti. Entonces, hemos conseguido desarrollar muy rápido y muy bien. Y ahora además se ha creado una red maravillosa de gente bonita, que sois vosotros, y que nos estáis ayudando a mejorar el software, ¿no? Tenemos cientos de desarrolladores que están mirando el código y los que controlan de programación dicen, uy, aquí tienes un pequeño problemita, un bug, esto podrías mejorarlo aquí, y nos envían código por todos lados, ¿no? Ese es un poco mi trabajo del día a día, ver todas estas aportaciones maravillosas que nos vais haciendo y ir puliendo y mejorando este software maravilloso que es Consul, ¿no? Y nada, pues espero que sigamos creciendo, que nos sigáis apoyando en este movimiento y podamos hackear la democracia a nivel mundial, entre todos. Muchas gracias.
Gracias, Ray. Ha sido estupendo volver a evocar el 15M. Creo que cuando hablamos de ciudades democráticas no nos podemos olvidar de aquel momento, ¿no? Aquel despertar y aquella posibilidad que se vio en las plazas en todo el mundo, ¿no? De pensar un poco cómo ir más allá, ¿no? De esta democracia liberal que tenía su tiempo agotado y que daba paso, o que debería dar paso, ¿no? A una nueva democracia más participativa, a una democracia incluso líquida, como comentabas, con iniciativas como el Partido de la Red, ¿no? Y bueno, has puesto también otra cosa interesante encima de la mesa, que es el tema del software libre. Yo siempre digo que libre o nada. Si no conseguimos que todas las tecnologías y todo el pensamiento, todo ese gran saber que estamos acumulando y que generamos de forma colectiva, si no está licenciado bajo alguna de las muchas licencias libres que hay, no conseguiremos que de verdad pueda seguir evolucionando, ser replicado y ser compartido y que de verdad sea un instrumento transformador, ¿no? Por eso digo lo de libre nada. Y esto nos une también con la propuesta que viene un poco a contarnos Julia, que es de la Open Knowledge Foundation de Alemania y que es una de las que ha impulsado el proyecto Prototype. Y sin más, damos paso a su presentación.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me. What a great space and what an inspiring conference. I arrived from Berlin and in the past 6 years I've been working with civic tech communities in Germany, but also on the international level, mainly on the topics transparency, participation and open source. And to kick off this session, I thought I'll talk about 2 of my favorite hacking projects from the last 2 years. The first one is closely related to freedom of information, and the second one is redesigning an interface. So let's start with freedom of information. A core role in this example, as you can see in the back, plays the Parliamentary Research Service of the German Bundestag. I'm sure there's an equivalent in Spain. This is basically the unit within the parliament that works on research studies for parliamentarians. So 100 staff in Germany work on thousands of studies and papers that parliamentarians request. And they cover a huge range of topics, from TTIP to flying saucers to reports on human rights in China, and many more. And most of these studies and papers are very interesting for the general public, for students, for researchers, for journalists, and not only for the parliamentarians. But the Parliamentary Research Service has been very reluctant when it comes to publishing these studies and papers to the general public. There was no index, there was no database that one could search through and even see like what are the topics they are working on. Only selected works got published on the website of the Bundestag. That was frustrating for us because we are constantly like lobbying and advocating for free and open and access to information. And in 2016 we were lucky because someone leaked a list of 5,000 titles of the studies and publications to us. And we sat together and we thought, okay, we really want all these studies to be published and to be publicly available. So how do we do that? And what we did was we created a one-click tool that would allow users to request these studies. So you could go onto our website and scan what's there and then just click on a study, enter your mail address and request it. And within 2 weeks, and we were surprised, 3,000 users requested studies via the tool. So the Parliamentary Research Service was flooded with all these requests. And you have to know that they send everything out via mail, and for them it's very tedious and yeah, a time-consuming procedure to like get everything ready and to send it to the requesters. So this vast amount was probably a shock for the Parliamentary Research Service. And so our plan was people request it, get it per mail, scan it, upload it to our website, and via that we'll create an archive over time. So what you can see here in the back is the progress bar. The orange ones are the requested ones, the green ones are the ones that have already been like uploaded to the platform and were available to the public. But 3 weeks in, the president of the Bundestag all of a sudden announced that they will publish all studies, past and the future ones, on an archive on their website. So they decided that through this like vast amount of like requests, they'll just go for it and like publish everything online instead of spending money. Like I think the estimate was 150,000 euros instead of spending money on like sending them out individually. So that was a big success for us, for all the people who requested the documents, and also for democracy. This is what the website of the Bundestag looks right now, where you can like scroll through all the studies. And let me tell you about a second project from Munich. It's a local project, and it's about a council information system. So basically, the local website, you can see it here in the back, where you can see what is the council discussing, who are the members of the council, and as you can already see, it looks a bit like a website, not really from the 90s, but maybe the 2000s, where like everything was left aligned. And Konstantin and Tobias, two citizens of Munich, were super frustrated with this website. They were very much interested in the open source policy in Munich and always had to go through this like yeah, pretty bad, like usability-wise website. So they decided to just redesign the whole website for themselves and also for others. So what they did is what you can see here in the back. They just took all the information and put it on their own website, or like created links to the information and added some features. You can basically subscribe to a district, so whenever there's something that changes or whenever there's something discussed in your neighborhood, you get an email alert. You can subscribe to topics. You can download calendar events in your calendar. Then if we scroll down, you can, and sorry that it's in German, but you can like click on all your council members and see how to contact them. And here on the bottom, you can see what are the up-to-date topics in the city council. So they basically redesigned this website and gave it a much nicer usability. And that was not only great for them and for like the citizens, but also for politicians and people from within the public administration that started to love the website and got in touch with Tobias and Konstantin. So these were my two examples from Germany. And at the end, I wanted to sum up, so what do we need in order to, as hackers, as citizens, to improve democracy? And there's three things that I think are very important. The first one is strong networks. It's important to create strong networks, and networking is important, like at conferences like this one here, and in local communities as well. Like exchange with like-minded people. The last thing you want is to reinvent the wheel over and over again. And it also needs networking with people that are not in your bubble. So let's say politicians, people from the public administration, and therefore it sometimes needs new formats. So what we did in North Rhine-Westphalia is we created a roundtable, not a very futuristic and crazy format, but a very like basic roundtable where basically politicians, people from within the public administration got together with software developers and with urban planners to discuss open data topics in that case. We also created a community network called Code for Germany, where people could, where people would be linked to other groups and communities in their hometown and nationwide. When you look at the map, there's now over 25 labs that meet up on a regular basis. These are basically small community groups and networks. Another thing that's very important is interdisciplinary and diverse teams. And we've heard it in the morning, diverse crowds make better decisions. When we started Code for Germany, like 2 years in, we realized, like 80% or like maybe even more than 80% of the people around us are male and white. They are software developers, the classic geeks. But if your goal is to create tools for citizens, for tools for a better democracy, then in order to address the different needs, it really helps you to build them in a diverse team. Not only in an interdisciplinary team, but also in a diverse team where you have people with different cultural backgrounds, different genders, and so on. And all of them bring in their needs and their ideas. And studies also show that diverse teams have more empathy, and that's important when you want to create tools that suit the needs of people out there. And the last thing, that's a picture where we were doing some diversity research in Taiwan. And the last thing is support. Tobias and Konstantin were working on their tool in their spare time, and there's a lot of voluntary activity, which is great, but sometimes to take tools, to take ideas to the next level, you need more time. And in order to take more time, you sometimes need financial support. That's why last year we started a fund, a prototype fund, together with the Federal Ministry for Education and Research, where we are handing out 8 million to open source projects to help people to bring their ideas to life and to start without having like a big business model or a big proposal in the beginning, but to just like go from their idea and to develop a first prototype. And yeah, we're in round 3 now, and we're growing and advancing, and I'd love to share some more experience from that. Thank you.
Gracias, Julia. Ha sido muy interesante y bueno, los dos proyectos eran dignos de admiración. A ver si continuamos aquí en Madrid el ejemplo de Múnich y nos pasamos a ser una ciudad open source total. Y el proyecto Prototype, a ver si podemos reproducirlo de alguna manera y pensar en él también cómo llevarlo a cabo. Ahora, sin más, os dejamos paso con Amaelle. Antes lo he enseñado, solo un segundo, ya va apareciendo alguna pregunta. Os animo a que entréis en esta dirección que aparece aquí y pongáis ese código. Con eso podréis ir introduciendo preguntas y votando las preguntas que han hecho otras personas. Esto es un sistema que utiliza Audrey Tang y que estamos aquí experimentando con él, porque de eso también se trata la nueva democracia, como también se comentaba antes, ¿no? Esa posibilidad de crear redes fuertes y de innovar. Y bueno, sin más, Amaelle, por favor, si te parece, voy a poner tu imagen.
Okay. Hello. Back in 2013, I published a book about hacktivists. It's called Hackers at the Core of Digital Resistance. And when I was researching it, I went to Tunisia in 2012. And I met people from the Open Gov movement over there. It was really interesting. It was after the revolution, and they were documenting what the Constitutional Assembly was doing, because it was hard for them to get documents, to get the votes. So they were monitoring what the Assembly was doing. And they also told me about a small city, which was doing what I would call low-tech open data. I mean, they were just, for example, displaying the budgets on the walls of the city hall. And it was I was enthusiastic about that Open Gov movement, but I also remember that back in December 2016, last December, there was the Open Government Partnership Summit in Paris, and I was there, and I heard a lot of people beginning to complain about what they called open washing, as there is greenwashing. I mean, politicians using this Open Gov movement, things look like they are open, but they are not so open. And I had this discussion with a French researcher. I will talk about his work. He's called Clément Maby. And I was just saying, we had some bills that weren't discussed at all, and the civil society was completely excluded from the process. And our government say, Open Gov is marvelous. And every day we see, startups coming, guys just graduated from business schools and saying, hey, I have an app that's going to save democracy. So what's going on with civic tech? And this guy, Clément Maby, this researcher, he told me, I'm just about to publish an article on the topic. And this is what he did. And I'd like to refer to his work because I think it's very interesting. He proposes a typology of civic tech that's not based on the tools themselves and their functionalities, but that's based on their political project, what they want to do to democracy. So this is what's just behind me. So he refers mostly to French initiatives, of course, but there are a few foreign initiatives. And there are two axes. The first one is their goal. Is the goal to improve the functioning of representative democracy, or is it to change the rules? And the second axis is their attitude towards institutions. Do they work with the institutions, or do they work from the outside? Are they external critics? And with these two axes, he defines 4 different families. And what is interesting, for example, is that you have there 2 projects called ourdeputies.fr and oursenators.fr. These are French projects based on open source technology. And the goal is to document the activity of the members of parliament, in which commissions do they attend, what do they vote, are they very active in the parliament or not really. And interestingly, this outside initiative had effects. I mean, the website of the National Assembly, for example, today, gives a lot more information than when they were created. So it had a real positive effect. When you take what you have, on the right and the top, critical reformers, it is where you will find mostly free software projects. On the other hand, at the left and the bottom, external reformers, this is where you will find proprietary initiatives, startups, people, the system of call for tenders, for example. And interestingly, it is that kind of project that, for example, in France, most elected people who say they want to improve their relationship to citizens, this is the kind of project they like. But is it the most innovative and the most transformative projects? I don't think so. What I would like to insist on is that the question here is, where is the power, and how does it change the distribution of power? We had an interesting example in 2016 in France with a draft bill on digital issues. It's called today the Bill for a Digital Republic. It was a governmental project, and there was a phase before the draft bill went to the parliament. There was a phase of consultation, and the government decided to consult on this text. And it was quite successful. I mean, there were 30,000 people registered, which is more than usually with that kind of initiative. Some wrote amendments to the draft bill. Some just voted, but it was kind of an interesting initiative. And the most discussed and supported topics were public domain, common goods of culture and knowledge, and free software, and the use of free software by the administration. In France, these three topics are highly controversial these days. For example, the question of protecting the public domain. You will find lobbies which don't want it to be in the law, for instance. So these were the most controversial topics. What happened in the end was that those topics were not in the final law. I mean, the government just didn't put them in the law. And a lot of people were extremely disappointed. But of course, I understand that. On the other hand, those topics, common goods, public domain, free software, were discussed in the public debate more than ever before. And my personal conviction is that, in fact, it was the goal of the whole stuff. It was also a way to push some topics in the public debate and to have progress on the public debate, even if there was not a progress in the law. The problem is the difference between the promise and the reality. Because the promise was, we are going to co-construct the law. The reality was a consultation, and a consultation that had for a result that those topics were now are in the public debate more than they were before. So what I want, I think it also means that when civic tech is in use, what is at stake must be very clear, not to create disappointment. But what I also would like to highlight is that the real question is, when participatory technology is in use, is the voice of citizens really taken into account? Because it is what is important. So if I want to be a bit provocative, I would say that hackers by themselves cannot improve democracy. But they can help improve it if they construct networks, if they work with the social movement, and if they help change the global distribution of power, because I think it's the whole point. I remember that there was the same dynamic with participatory democracy. There was a difference between participatory democracy, where what citizens, for example, decided at a local level was really taken into account by the other levels, and those kind of initiatives where, in fact, it was only consulting, and in the end, politicians only, they decided all the time. So the real question is this distribution of power. And if I have, yes, I think I have just one more minute, because you talked about Audrey Tang. I had a very interesting discussion with Audrey Tang. I think it was something about a year ago, when she explained me how the platform vTaiwan worked and how it was used, for example, to address the conflict between taxi drivers and Uber in Taiwan. And she explained the whole, the way it works and the way it helps create consensus. And well, that was we had a discussion about that because I'm a European, I'm a French person, and my cultural background is also made by conflict and social conflict, and the idea that there are topics on which you cannot find consensus. So what I wanted to say with that is that a technology in itself embeds a political project, and this is what this graph tells, but it also embeds culture, political culture, which is something slightly, well, it's of course it's linked, but it's slightly different. And I think when we use or when we create participatory technology, we must always have this in mind. What is the political project behind the tech? And what is also the political culture behind the tech? Meaning that something that works and has very interesting effects in a country, for instance, Taiwan, maybe won't have the same effects or won't be as useful in another country, say France. Thank you.
Bueno, muchísimas gracias, Amaelle. Antes no la he presentado, es una periodista francesa y escritora del gran libro Hackers. Y te agradezco enormemente que hayas traído a esta tarde que estamos compartiendo, esta tarde de sábado, la idea de que la participación, al fin y al cabo, también es conflicto y que precisamente si estamos hablando de politizar la sociedad, de que la sociedad participe de manera activa en las decisiones y que haya un reparto del poder, esto implica conflicto, evidentemente, y no podemos pensar que la participación puede ser una suerte de apaciguamiento, sino que realmente implica un contraste, ¿no?, entre lo que los políticos, ¿no?, asentados quieren hacer y lo que de verdad la gente de abajo, con esta idea de bottom-up, pues pretende sacar adelante, ¿no? Y sin más os invito a que entre vosotros tratéis de hacer un pequeño debate, una discusión, sin antes sin recordar que ya hay alguna pregunta más. Os recuerdo que podéis meteros en esta página web y con ese código ir introduciendo preguntas y votándolas, que luego al final serán contestadas por nuestros ponentes. Go on.
Estoy mirando esas preguntas, tengo ganas ya de contestarlas.
Ha llegado otra.
Amaelle, let's talk about what you said about hackers. I think I agree with hackers not being able to fix the things by ourselves. We need political support. That's been my frustrating experience for many years, and now it's a blessing from the skies that we're able to move things forward with the political help. It's necessary.
And I also think so. I think hackers who want to hack democracy, maybe one of the most important things is that they must have this discussion among themselves. Do we act from the outside or do we act from the inside? I think most of the time the good answer is to do both. It's really complicated, but it's the most efficient way of changing things, actually. Being able to collaborate with the institutions, but also being able to build autonomous communities. Yeah.
I would even argue that we have to get rid of the term hacker, because I think it's counterproductive to what we're trying to achieve, because we're excluding certain people who do not self-identify as hacker. And like, I mean, how many people really honestly like self-identify as hacker, right? So I really think that to broaden the discourse and to have more like people engaged in the stuff that we do, we have to also look at the language that we are using. So for example, we stopped using our like events, we stopped calling them hackathons, because what we recognized is that this like language would keep people from joining. So we're more focusing on the underlying challenges and topics that we're working on, and by that trying to like invite bigger crowds. But I don't know, what's your like point on that?
I completely agree. I don't refer to myself ever as a hacker, no? That's something that other people refer to you as that, no? Because they really or want to praise you, or really don't understand what you're doing, and it's sort of like magic, and you're like a wizard, a hacker, no? No, I just know how to program, no? That's basically what you're doing, and it's really a whole, as you were saying, a diverse team that really makes things happen, no? We have designers too that are crucial to make things work, no? Hackers usually deal with the back end, with databases, with tests, and then we need people designing, people thinking about the idea in general, people talking about the actual problem that we're trying to solve, users that don't know how to use computers actually trying the software and saying, I don't understand how this works. You know? So it's really a diverse team that we need to make things happen. No?
And I think, yes, you're right in saying that, that there is a bridge maybe still to be built, but I think things are improving. I remember when I was researching my book, I realized that more and more hackers were going to work with NGOs, for instance. I think this is something that would not have been so simple maybe 10 or 15 years ago, but this idea that they wanted to be in the life of the city. They wanted to be part of movements, and not only because when you look at the history of the hacker movement, the first organizations were based on technical issues. I mean, or I would say liberties linked to technology, such as free software, such as you know, the pirate parties were mostly promoting liberties online, and now I tend to see more and more people wanting to be part of, you know, even helping migrants, for example, or working with NGOs, or and not only on technical questions, which is really a good thing.
Yeah, because a lot of the times the technical part is really the easy part. So you have to figure out like how to communicate things, how to really like shape a problem and a challenge right. And then the like, okay, programming the tool is what I see in our projects always the easiest part. But you might be able to say more about like the actual like development and how long does it, or like, yeah, is it really the easy part or?
Well, it depends, no? So it's easy to come up with any solution, no? In these hackathons that we do sometimes 48 hours without sleeping, and you manage to program lots of things, no? But it might not be the right solution. If you want the right solution, you need months of studying, months of thinking, months of designing prototypes, months of testing with actual users, beta testing, improving. And finally, you end up with that solution. No? Sometimes it's inevitable to program many times. No? You need to actually program, 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 wrong, 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 fail, fail. Oh, now we got it, no? The actual programming part also depends on how quality you want your software to be. No? You can just pull out any solution with a chunk of code, a script of 1,000 lines, which no one can maintain, no? But if you want people to be able to maintain and update your software, it's really like an art. It's like a craft, no? It's like doing a statue or painting a drawing, no? It's really making poetry, no? With code, and then securing it with lots and lots and lots of tests to make sure that it works, no?
When you say you develop agile, so you mentioned before that there's 3 of you within the public administration here in Madrid. Are you able to influence other departments in how they work? Do they look over your shoulder and adapt some processes? Do you have some insights there?
You mean on other areas or the same area of us participation?
No, let's presume that the typical public administration approach is probably a waterfall approach, right? You plan, you plan, you plan, then you're done planning, then you start to implement, and you do not do testing and iterative development. But I assume that's what you do when you develop your things. So are departments within the city adapting to your processes, or are they curious how you do things, or is there an exchange?
Yes, absolutely. We have the public administration is very bureaucratic, no? You say, can I get this done? It's like, yes, let's see. In 1 year, it will be done, no? And it's something very simple, no? That really takes a few hours to get done, no? But due to all the bureaucratic process, the queue that's there, it takes that time. We skip all of that. We have created a SWAT team, and we follow our own agile methodologies independently of the bureaucratic processes. And they are watching, and they're like, oh, okay, so you can do this in 1 day instead of 1 year. How do you do that? No, we like that, no? And yes, they are learning Ruby now. They love Ruby in the administration. They've left Java and PHP and all these other languages, and they are, to start with, developing in this very productive programming language. And we're also trying to reduce some meetings which were not very helpful, and trying to guide them a little bit more in how to make a productive meeting and not feel like you've been 4 hours in a meeting and you haven't advanced anything, no? Which sometimes happened at the beginning. But now it's happening less and less, and we are slowly introducing them into agile methodologies of the private world that work very, very efficiently, yes.
I had a question. What kind of feedback do you have of the use of the platform outside Spain? Do you have real feedback on how people use it, or do they fork it, maybe? Do they fork it? Yeah?
Absolutely. Well, the thing is, as it's open source, everyone can, they just see it's there, they grab it, they start using it, and they don't tell us lots of the time, no? We have around 300 forks, and we are aware only of about 100 or 100 and something, no? We're still trying to find them, who are you, why, who, no? What do you think, no? They kind of, we created a network that's a little out of control right now, but we kind of getting together, no? And asking them user experiences, absolutely. We have teams of people. There's these 2 weeks in Media Lab, there was a team, Consul Going Worldwide, that actually called them and did interviews to their developers, to their politicians. What do you think? How are you feeling? No? And that's one of the things that we learned in these 2 weeks, that we need to set up this thing that we've set up here these couple of days, but in an online mode and in a more periodic way, you know, to get feedback from all these forks that are using it and be able to coordinate better the efforts.
I have another question for you, because you ended with a frustration with this consultation, and I'm sure you've been thinking about how this could have been resolved, right, in the case of Paris or this consultation that you mentioned. What are like methods that would have helped to resolve it? Is it transparency, or like what are your suggestions to that?
I really think in this case that the consultation on the bill Digital Republic, that the true problem was really the difference between the reality and what was promised at the very beginning. If it had been, it should have been clearer that the process was mastered only by, the decisions would be only governmental decisions. It wasn't, it was said, but the problem is that when you say co-construct the law, I think you create a bit too much hopes. This is one answer. The other answer would be maybe there is something to do with representative democracy today. I mean, is it, how could we improve democracy? It would also be by having a real discussion on new ways of, creating different levels of decision. You know, not only have, I would say that I'm not, I think that the system must be changed fundamentally. So, and I think a lot of people who participated in this consultation are also people who think the system must be changed. So maybe this was also that kind of problem.
Bueno, muy interesante, pero queríamos también, para finalizar y bueno, también dar continuidad con las diferentes actividades que quedan aún. Muy interesante la participación de Birgitta, que viene ahora. Queríamos ver si podíais contestar algunas de las preguntas que han hecho. Yo, como no veo muy bien, va a ser Ray el que os las haga, o se las haga a sí mismo, claro. Y con esto terminaríamos para poder continuar con lo siguiente, ¿de acuerdo?
Okay, I think this first question is for Julia. It says, prototype funds looks great. Is it for Germany only?
Unfortunately, yes, because it's money from the federal ministry. But I would love to see a prototype fund on the European level. We've been in discussions, and also maybe a Spanish one. So if someone here in the room is eager to take on this challenge, I'm happy to share everything that we've learned. We also basically just copied from what the Knight Foundation did in the US. So they had a prototype fund and a news challenge, and we forked their fund. So if anyone's here who wants to do a similar thing, then please approach me.
La siguiente pregunta dice, cuando los ciudadanos participan, no todos tienen los mismos conocimientos sobre cierto tema. ¿Cómo afecta esto a la calidad de la participación y cómo resolverlo?
Sorry, can you repeat? I didn't have the translation.
It says, cuando los ciudadanos participan, no todos tienen los mismos conocimientos sobre cierto tema. ¿Cómo afecta esto a la calidad de participación y cómo resolverlo? What do you think of that?
Well, I would say that most of the time you can see that when there is a consultation, people who register and participate are mostly people who know the topic, who already know the topic. And for me, well, it's the biggest problem. I had this discussion with the minister who launched the consultation on this draft bill, and because she was extremely conscious that it couldn't be enough. And a digital platform, when you really want to have a vivid public debate, an online platform is not enough. If there is no, I don't know, just meetings in big cities, you must you cannot solve the problem only with a technical tool. And how can it be addressed? I mean, it must be addressed by organizing the debate in every way possible, but not only by the tool itself.
One more. Okay. How does this model can be applied in countries where the access to technology or even basic human rights are restricted?
Well, that's an interesting question, because I would like to ask the people who asked the question, what does this model mean? I mean, if it's always the same, there is the technical question and there is the political question. I mean, what is at stake is participation. It's power distribution. So technology is only a way to help improve that. But when there is restricted access to technology and when there are human rights problems, I mean, that means the political situation is so hard that the question is not, am I going to launch consultation platforms? The question is, how do we build basic democracy?
Absolutely, I concur, and I would just like to add access to technology needs to be solved. You know, there's a gap between technology and people that are not technology savvy yet, and we need to facilitate these spaces. We try and do it here in Ayuntamiento de Madrid, setting up offices where the people, old people especially, can go and they can do everything that they can do online, but with a person there that helps them verify their account and vote and propose and do everything. That's very important, definitely.
But, well, on the other hand, I think it is really important for communities building this civic technology in Western countries to be in touch and to have discussions with people from other countries where technology is restricted or where there are human rights problems, to exchange, to support them, and maybe to think of ways to help them also. My 2 cents. Easier said than done, of course.
Pues no tenemos tiempo para más. Os agradecemos mucho vuestra presentación. Gracias por vuestro interesante debate de ideas. Como sabéis, después va a haber una pequeña fiesta, o sea que podremos continuar con este debate y, bueno, quizás también a través de alguna otra plataforma. Y ahora, sin más, vamos a pasar a la presentación del documental Meeting with Snowden o Meeting Snowden. Vamos a prepararlo y en breve daremos paso.
dejado que se meta, que Bernardo sí que... Bernardo se la ha mandado también. Ah, bueno, él también tiene configurado así. Sí. Creo que ahí... Because, no, I... Okay, te la mando. Ciudades.democráticas @ presento yo.
Bueno, llegamos a la última sesión en forma de documental con comentarios de una de las protagonistas del documental. Es un documental sobre una reunión que tuvieron con Snowden en Moscú, Birgitta y Larry Lessig. Y bueno, pues Birgitta nos va a introducir el documental, así que os dejo con ella. Para los que no habéis estado esta mañana, pues Birgitta es fundadora del partido pirata islandés, es poeta y actualmente ha dejado la política para hacer cosas más interesantes. Así que le deseamos suerte para su nueva trayectoria y os dejo con ella.
Yeah, hi. So I first knew who Edward Snowden was on my way to meet another very famous whistleblower called Daniel Ellsberg. And so I was just heard the news, and he was on the news saying he wanted to come to Iceland because of the work that I'd been doing in creating a digital safe haven. And I ended up spending a whole day doing TV interviews with Daniel Ellsberg. I even went on Fox News to defend Snowden. There was no way I could help Snowden come to Iceland because he got stuck in Russia. You all know what Snowden did. He basically sacrificed everything to help us understand how our privacy is basically no more. But this documentary that we're going to be showing you here, it's I think the first time it's shown in Spain. It is brand new. It's done by a French documentary filmmaker called Flor Vassor. And it is basically me, Edward Snowden, and Lawrence Lessig talking about democracy. We went to Moscow just after I had been given the mandate to try to form a government in Iceland, but it failed. It would have been a really super awesome progressive government, but that's not going to be happening for a few years to come, I think, or maybe never. But it was really special to be there with Lessig because he was, he's an extraordinary man. If you don't know who he is, but he's one of the people that came up with and implemented CC. He worked very closely with Aaron Swartz, and he is a constitutional lawyer. So we are all very preoccupied with what to do about democracy. And it was interesting to be in Moscow, because this was just after Donald Trump had been elected, and there was a lot of discussions about influence by foreign powers into local elections, and it is something that we need to be aware of. It's highly possible. But to meet Snowden in person was really like meeting an old friend, but I have to say it was really freaky to be there. It was just around Christmas. I felt like I was in a Russia in America. It was, you would be seeing Stalin and St. Nicholas talking in the streets in costumes. It's very strange. But the hotel where Snowden did the interview with us was full of KGB or whatever it's called today. So I don't know how free he is, but I hope that he can someday go back home like he was once. But Lessig is no less of a hero in my opinion. So if you don't know who he is, you should really look him up and what he's done. He's an incredible inspiration. So enjoy the film. I'm sorry it does not have Spanish subtitles. It is sort of the filmmaker allowed me to show this to you, without letting the producer know. So we're sort of hacking the film. So enjoy this. Bye-bye.
Ambiente cine. Me dijeron que esto ya funcionaba en Media Lab. ¿Se puede apagar la luz así como un poco más? Yes.